Every superhero academy in the MCU has one job: take ordinary people and turn them into something dangerous. But here's what Marvel never says out loud: these schools don't just train heroes, they shape loyalty, erase identity, and decide who deserves power. Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. The School for Gifted Youngsters exists because mutation is not a gift, it's a liability. In Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, we're finally introduced to the MCU's version of Charles Xavier, and even in his brief appearance, the school's philosophy becomes clear. Xavier believes power without control is the fastest way to extinction.
I'm ready. I shall miss you, my friend. I'm sorry.
The school was founded to do something no government, prison, or task force could do: teach mutants how to live with abilities that can't be turned off. Students don't arrive because they want to be heroes. They arrive because they're dangerous. Scared and often hunted. Jean Grey is telepathic, who can't block voices. Bobby Drake creates cryokinesis when feeling stressed, and even Scott Summers can't open his eyes without causing total destruction. Training at Xavier's school prioritizes restraint above all else. Students are taught meditation, emotional regulation, and mental discipline long before combat. Cerebro is not just a detection system, it's a training tool, allowing Xavier to guide young mutants through controlling their minds before those minds control them. But the school also carries a philosophical fault line. Xavier's dream of coexistence clashes with the reality of fear and persecution. His methods assume humanity will eventually accept mutants, an assumption history repeatedly disproves. This ideological tension is what creates figures like Magneto, students who reject restraint and see power as dominance. What makes Xavier's school uniquely dangerous is that it trains beings capable of reshaping the world while asking them not to. And as the Illuminati universe shows, even Xavier himself can fail. When control slips, when ideology fractures, this school doesn't just produce rebels, it produces existential threats. Kamar-Taj. Kamar-Taj is not an academy for the gifted, it's a sanctuary for the disciplined. Introduced in Doctor Strange, it exists as the first and last line of defense against interdimensional collapse. Its students are not trained to seek power, but to endure responsibility. Stephen Strange's journey reveals Kamar-Taj's core belief: talent is meaningless without humility. Strange is a genius surgeon,
Top 10 hit with a flugelhorn. Status, Billy?
19.
yet he fails repeatedly because his arrogance blinds him.
Look beyond the world in front of you.
The Ancient One withholds knowledge intentionally, understanding that curiosity without restraint is catastrophic. This is why forbidden texts like the Darkhold are locked away, not hidden, but restricted. Training at Kamar-Taj focuses on mental resilience. Students learn to draw power from other dimensions, manipulate time, and bend reality, but they are constantly reminded that every spell takes something in return. Dormammu's invasion shows what happens when a former student like Caecilius rejects those rules. Kamar-Taj also enforces hierarchy. Masters guard secrets. Students are tested through failure, and death is an accepted consequence of training. The sanctums, sling rings, and relics are not tools of freedom. They are safeguards meant to prevent worse outcomes. By Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the consequences of this training become brutally clear. Even Doctor Strange variants, trained by Kamar-Taj, are capable of destroying entire universes, which proves the Academy's greatest truth: magic itself isn't evil, but the people who wield it can be. When Wanda Maximoff attacks Kamar-Taj, the sorcerers don't scatter, they unify. Masters, apprentices, and students form defensive formations, raising magical shields in coordinated patterns designed to absorb and redirect reality-warping force. This isn't individual heroism, it's collective discipline. These aren't elite Avengers or chosen champions. They're students, many of whom have never faced a threat of this scale, and yet they fight anyway, knowing they are outmatched. Wanda tears through their defenses with raw chaos magic, but the sorcerers hold formation long enough to protect the sanctum, evacuate civilians, and buy time. Their willingness to stand together, despite knowing the odds, reflects Kamar-Taj's deepest lesson. Power is meaningless without responsibility. The Red Room. No, not that type of room. This could be defined as a school, but it's more of a factory. Revealed fully in Black Widow, it represents the MCU's most morally bankrupt training program. Run by Dreykov, the Red Room's purpose was simple: produce perfectly obedient assassins without conscience or identity. Unlike other academies that recruit volunteers, the Red Room abducts children.
He has fire in her.
Young girls are taken from across the world and raised inside a system designed to erase individuality. Training begins at an early age and is relentless. In the opening credits of Black Widow, we see widows undergoing classroom conditioning, language drills, combat exercises, weapons training, and psychological evaluation. The girls are taught espionage, assassination, and manipulation alongside ballet and academic studies, not to enrich them, but to make them adaptable in any environment. Everything they learn has a purpose: infiltration. The Red Room enforces obedience through fear and control. Widows are punished for emotional attachment and rewarded for detachment. Natasha later confirms that the program included forced sterilization, a deliberate measure designed to remove distractions and prevent family bonds. This wasn't a side effect of training, it was policy. The Red Room didn't want soldiers with lives, it wanted assets. Graduation wasn't symbolic. Widows were sent on live missions where survival proved readiness. In Avengers: Age of Ultron, Natasha references her graduation day
They have a graduation ceremony. Sterilize you.
as one of the darkest moments of her life, confirming that the final test involved killing without hesitation. Mercy meant failure. What makes the Red Room even more terrifying is its evolution. By the time of Black Widow, Dreykov has implemented chemical mind control, removing free will entirely. Widows no longer follow orders out of conditioning. They are physically unable to disobey. Training no longer produces loyalty, it produces puppets. The Red Room's downfall comes when Natasha and Yelena dismantle its systems and free the widows. But the damage can't be undone. The film makes one thing painfully clear. The Red Room didn't just train assassins, it systematically destroyed childhood, identity, and choice, and called it education. S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy. This was created to solve a problem the world had never faced before. How do you protect humanity from threats that don't follow human rules? Established in the aftermath of World War II, S.H.I.E.L.D. evolved from the Strategic Scientific Reserve into a global intelligence organization that trained ordinary humans to stand against gods, aliens, and super soldiers. Training at S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy wasn't about raw combat ability. Recruits were educated in surveillance, cryptography, threat assessment, tactical response, and psychological profiling. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. shows that the Academy produced specialized divisions, including operations, science and technology, and communications. Agents like Leo Fitz and Gemma Simmons were trained as scientists first, proving that intelligence could be just as valuable as physical force. Graduates were conditioned to prioritize secrecy and chain of command. This philosophy is evident in the Avengers, where S.H.I.E.L.D. monitors Thor, the Tesseract, and even Tony Stark long before openly engaging them. Agents are trained to observe, catalog, and intervene only when necessary. Information was S.H.I.E.L.D.'s primary weapon. But Captain America, the Winter Soldier, exposes the Academy's greatest failure. For decades, Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. from the inside, embedding itself into recruitment, training protocols, and leadership. Agents were unknowingly trained to obey Hydra's long-term agenda. Project Insight, designed to eliminate threats before they acted, was the ultimate expression of this corruption. A system that trained agents believed was protection, but was actually mass execution. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. explores the aftermath. With the organization collapsed, Academy-trained agents like Phil Coulson, Daisy Johnson, and Melinda May are forced to question everything they were taught. Loyalty to the institution is replaced with loyalty to people and principles. Daisy's evolution from untrained civilian to field agent highlights how flawed but adaptable S.H.I.E.L.D. training truly was. The Academy didn't just produce heroes. It produced operatives shaped by secrecy, burdened by moral compromise, and trained to trust systems that ultimately betrayed them. And that's what makes S.H.I.E.L.D. one of the most influential and dangerous training institutions in the MCU. Wakandan royalty, and Dora Milaje training. Wakandan military training is inseparable from Wakandan identity. Unlike most MCU academies, this system is not designed to create soldiers for expansion or conquest. Its purpose is preservation. The Dora Milaje, introduced in Black Panther, are elite warriors trained from a young age to protect the throne and, by extension, Wakanda itself. Training blends ritual, discipline, and modern combat. The Dora Milaje are trained in traditional spear combat, close quarters fighting, tactical formations, and the use of vibranium-enhanced weaponry. However, what makes their training exceptional is its redundancy. As seen in Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War, Dora Milaje warriors remain lethal even when stripped of vibranium technology. This suggests their training prioritizes adaptability over reliance on equipment. Loyalty is central to Dora Milaje education, but it is not blind obedience. Black Panther shows Okoye choosing Wakanda over Killmonger, even when the throne itself becomes corrupted. This moment reveals a critical principle. Dora Milaje loyalty is to the nation, not the individual ruler. Training instills moral clarity alongside combat efficiency. In The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Ayo's confrontation with John Walker highlights another aspect of Dora Milaje training: restraint. Despite overwhelming Walker with ease, Ayo disengages once her objective is achieved. Wakandan training does not encourage unnecessary violence. Every action is measured, intentional, and purposeful. By Wakanda Forever, training expands beyond royal protection into full-scale warfare. Shuri's reforms show that Wakandan training is evolving, preparing warriors for global threats while preserving tradition. The Dora Milaje represent the pinnacle of Wakandan discipline. Warriors trained not just to fight, but to embody the nation they sworn to protect. Talokan warrior training. Talokan warrior training is shaped by trauma, isolation, and survival. Revealed in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Talokan developed as a hidden civilization after its people were forced underwater to escape colonial genocide. This history defines how its warriors are trained and why they fight. Training begins early, with Talokan children learning to navigate crushing ocean depths and three-dimensional combat environments. Warriors are trained to fight both underwater and on land, using vibranium-infused weaponry, aquatic mobility, and coordinated swarm tactics. Unlike Wakandan formations, Talokan combat emphasizes overwhelming force and environmental dominance. Loyalty in Talokan training is absolute. Warriors are taught that secrecy equals survival. Outsiders are viewed as existential threats, a belief reinforced by centuries of persecution. This creates soldiers who do not hesitate when ordered to strike, as seen in Talokan's attacks on Wakanda and global shipping routes. Namor himself is both product and symbol of this training culture. While his abilities are unique, his leadership style reflects Talokan's values: decisive, uncompromising, and willing to annihilate enemies to protect his people. Talokan training does not encourage diplomacy. It prepares warriors for extinction-level conflict. What makes Talokan training especially dangerous is its unity. Warriors fight not for glory or ideology, but for shared history and survival. In Wakanda Forever, this creates an army capable of challenging Wakanda itself, one of the most technologically advanced nations on Earth. Nova Corps Training Program. The Nova Corps serves as the official peacekeeping force of Xandar, introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy. Their training program is built around a single principle: stability through collective action. Unlike hero-driven systems, Nova Corps training discourages individuality in favor of formation and coordination. Recruits are trained in flight combat, energy weaponry, tactical maneuvers, and intergalactic law enforcement. As seen during Ronan's assault on Xandar, Nova pilots operate as a single organism, forming energy barriers and attack formations. This level of coordination can only come from highly standardized training. The Nova Corps are guided by the World Mind, an advanced artificial intelligence that stores knowledge, strategy, and operational data. While not deeply explored on screen, dialogue confirms that the World Mind plays a central role in decision-making. Training prepares recruits to act as extensions of this system, rather than independent agents, However, Avengers Infinity War reveals the program's limitation. Thanos destroys Xandar off-screen, implying that even perfect coordination fails against overwhelming force. The collapse of the Nova Corps suggests that training built solely around order lacks adaptability when the system itself is destroyed. Talo martial arts training. Talo's martial arts training, revealed in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, is fundamentally spiritual. Unlike Wenwu's brutal Ten Rings training, Talo emphasizes harmony between body, mind, and environment. Students are taught to fight using flowing movements that redirect force rather than oppose it directly. This is shown when Shang-Chi struggles against his aunt Ying-Nan, who defeats him effortlessly by guiding his aggression rather than matching it. Training focuses on emotional balance as much as physical technique. Talo warriors are trained as guardians, not soldiers. Their purpose is to protect the village and the Great Protector, not to conquer. This philosophy shapes their combat style: precise, defensive, and efficient. Power is only used when necessary. The effectiveness of Talo training becomes clear during the battle against the Dweller in Darkness. Warriors trained in Talo techniques are capable of fighting creatures immune to conventional weapons, proving the depth of their knowledge and discipline. Talo's training represents the MCU's clearest example of power without corruption. It teaches that strength is not measured by dominance, but by control. When you strip away the costumes, the powers, and the spectacle, the MCU isn't built by heroes. It's built by training. Every academy we've looked at exists for the same reason. Power without guidance destroys everything it touches.